مرحبا، أنا اسمي لينا داوود، عمري 23. وأنا بشتغل كأستاذة مساعدة في أكاديمية أنتونيو زوي. هلا أنا قصتي شوي مختلفة عن باقي الأساتذة، لأنه قصتي كانت بتبلش بأمي مش فيا. ماما بلشت بإنها كانت دخلت أكثر من معهد إنجليزي عشان تتعلم وما زبط معها. بعدين أجت على أنتونيو زوي، وخلال 3 شهور بس أنا شفت يعني فرق بشكل لا يصدق صراحة. قلت لا، لازم أعرف شو السر. هلا لحسن الحظ إنه أستاذ أنطونيو عرض على ماما أوفر إني أنا كمان أجي أشتغل، وأجيت وقلت أكيد لا، لازم أعرف شو السر بالضبط. ولما تعلمت عن طريقة أستاذ أنطونيو اكتشفت إنه هي مختلفة عن اللي أنا درسته بالجامعة، بس بنفس الوقت بتشبهها. كيف؟ أنا عندي بتخصصي كإنجليزي تطبيقي في مادة بتحكي عن اللغات بشكل عام وكيف أساسها ونظرياتها. هلا كانوا في نظريتين أنا بتخصصي مدبحين بعض، يعني بشكل مش طبيعي كيف إنهم ضد بعض. الأستاذ أنطونيو جمعهم مع بعض وخلاهم بطريقة واحدة وطبقها وفعلا ناجحة. وأنا صراحة يعني كل يوم بنبهر زيادة وزيادة، وهذا الإشي زاد لي بمعرفتي كأستاذة وكطالبة بنفس الوقت. Hi everyone, I just want to introduce myself. I'm Lina Dawood and I'm 23. I was born here in Jordan on June 24th, 1997, but I was raised in Saudi Arabia. I'm also originally Palestinian, so you could say I'm multicultural. I graduated Jordan University with a bachelor's in applied English, and I'm working here at Antonio's Way Academy as a teacher. As you can clearly see, I'm Muslim, and I really try my very best to practice Islam. Anyways, Arabic is my native language and English is my second. And I'm also really into animals. That's why I'm vegan. And that includes caring for the environment as well. I mean, if you want to live a healthy life, you have to live in a healthy environment. Okay, enough about me. Let me tell you about my most important people in my world, my family. I have an average-sized family, so there's me, obviously, my mother, my older sister, and 3 brothers, which makes me the 4th child in my family. And even though I have a younger brother, I've had my fair share of spoiling by my late father. So at least in my case, not being spoiled unless you're the youngest is definitely a myth. As for my daily routine, it's kind of boring, but here it is. I wake up around 8:15 and after turning off my alarm, I get cleaned up and ready for work. I then head to the kitchen to grab something to eat. And before heading out of the door, I always like to check that I have my keys, lunchbox, water bottle, hat set, and of course, the most precious thing nowadays, my mask. I usually go back and forth to work by Uber because I still didn't get my license. I know. I usually work from 9 to 5, but sometimes I stay till 7. Once home again, I usually hop in the shower before having some dinner, and the rest of my evening just me hanging out and relaxing with my mom, and I might get some housework done. Around 11 p.m., I get ready for bed and call it a night. On weekends, however, I do spend most of my day sleeping, and since I'm a vegan, I spend the rest of the day cooking and making yummy desserts. I mean, if you don't spoil yourself, then who will? And that's pretty much it. Now, as I said before, I grew up in Saudi Arabia and moved to Jordan when I started university, and there's no doubt that I feel like I belong to both countries. So I thought I'd point out some similarities and differences between both cultures. I'll start with listing the similarities first, since both cultures are Arab after all. They practically share the same values and beliefs, and both are Islamic countries, so they have similar concepts and practices. Also, one of the most admirable things about both countries is that they highly respect elders, which is quite amusing to be honest. Like, it's really rare to see a loose-knit family in any Arab cultures. And don't even get me started on Arab generosity and hospitality. They would literally make a feast fit for a king for a complete stranger they met 5 minutes ago. They both value honor and loyalty a lot, which I think is a double-edged sword. Lastly, another amazing quality each share is offering help to those in need. I think a common great example of this, as if your car breaks on the side of the road, most Arabs will stop and help you. Cool, huh? Now, there are so many other things they share, but I'll think that will do for now. But when it comes to differences, I don't think there are many, but I'll name the most important ones. First things first, clothes. Saudi Arabia and Jordan have a huge difference when it comes to the way they dress. In Saudi Arabia, most men prefer to wear a thawb, which is a white gown that they usually pair with a gutra and a gal. The gutra is like a rectangular headdress, while the gal is like a black cord that's worn double to keep the gutra in place. Meanwhile, Saudi women tend to wear abayas, which is like a very loose black gown that they usually wear with a niqab, which is a veil that covers the whole face or the whole face except the eyes. Now, it was actually a very rare sight for me to see a woman wearing a abaya without covering her face, at least in my own personal experience. But when it comes to Jordan, I don't think there are specific outfits and clothes. Men wear casual clothes like shirts and shorts or pants, depending on the season or their own personal style. As for Jordanian women, I believe there are 3 different types of outfits. First, women who wear jilbab, which is like abayas, but it comes in different colors. Also, I think the abaya is a bit looser. Second, women who wear modest clothes as well as hijab, which is how I usually dress. This can be skirts, pants, or coats, or wherever you can think of. What's important is that it covers your body modestly. Last, women who don't wear hijab. They wear anything they want. However, I think they wear modest clothes as well, especially if you compare it to Western outfits. Okay, enough about customs and clothes. Let me tell you about something more interesting: food. Food in the Middle East has a wild range of variety. We could say that in the Gulf, the cuisine is pretty similar, but it's really different compared to the Jordanian cuisine. They both tend to rely on rice a lot, but they use it differently. For instance, let's compare the most famous dish of each country: the Saudi Arabian kebsa and Jordanian mensaf. Kebsa is rice cooked with tomato paste and chicken, while mensaf is rice served with cooked yogurt, aka jamid, and lamb. Mensaf is quite richer though, and since I'm a vegan, I don't eat both. And anyhow, even when it comes to desserts, there are small differences. Like in Jordan and Levantine, in general, their types of desserts are dipped in syrup, like katayef, baklava, and kunafa. And it's not that these types of desserts are made in Saudi Arabia, it's just not that common there. Some Saudi Arabian desserts are maqsoub, kleda, arika, and hanini. I'm thinking about it now, probably isn't a good idea to talk about food because now I'm craving a lot of them. Anyways, with that being said, let me tell you about my cultural shock experience. Since I grew up in Saudi Arabia, I was raised in a more direct culture, meaning they say whatever they think without sugarcoating it, whether it's good or bad. And when I first moved to Jordan, it took me a while to figure out that Jordanians are indirect and beat around the bush a lot. So whenever Jordanians say something, there's usually an implicit meaning that you need to figure out. So when I first came here for college, I was a very direct person, but now not as much, because it used to give me into unnecessary trouble and lots of misunderstandings. Like whenever I used to say something, people would either get confused or offended. And it took me a while to figure out what I was doing wrong. I then discovered that Jordanians are really indirect and beat around the bush a lot. So I worked on it and gradually became less blunt. However, I still prefer being direct. It's just who I am, I guess. Probably because I was raised that way, and that's pretty much it.
المدرسة الأنتونية، أفضل مدرسة لتعليم اللغات في الكون.